two Game Boys. I have two Game Boys. As you can see, they are not in the best of shape. I assume this one hasn't gone yellow and doesn't need retrobrighting. I'm not totally up on Game Boys. I also assume this is a real Nintendo case. It's not fake. I don't know. But they are both not working, and they have both suffered from the dreaded battery leakage. They have been stored with batteries inside them, and it has leaked everywhere. So I'm going to try and get both of these working. As you can see, the glue has completely it's not sticky at all. It's just turned to hardened rock on this. So that screen is just falling out there. So yeah, I don't know, they both look pretty bad. They've been stored together, so they were stored for the same amount of time, probably with the same brand of batteries in, which have leaked in exactly the same way. So they are in trouble. So I think I'll start with this one. This is the classic Game Boy Color, so let's start with the classic. Let's open this up, and let's just see if we can clean it up before we go in here. I also noticed that it looks like there's some rust in that port there. That is the connection port, is it? External connector, is that for playing two-player? There seems to be some kind of rust going on in that. So that's not good. So yeah, let's just open it up. I've got one of these have got these like little tri-wing screws in them that Nintendo put in there. Well, they're quite long screws. I wonder if these are going to be different lengths actually. But yeah, I need to get these battery contacts out and clean them and find out what's happened to the board underneath. Yeah, they both don't power on, I believe, but it could just be from the crud on the battery contacts. But either way, we need to get it all out. I don't know what's in here. I've never opened a Nintendo Game Boy before. I never even owned one before. These are just in for repair. So we'll get to see how well this goes. I don't know a lot about it, and I haven't researched it first. I know some people like complain about that, saying, why don't you go and Google it and find out what's in it? It's like, but I want to be surprised. I want to find out what's in here. And it would take the mystery out of it. It's like when you search for a movie before you've seen it, you end up finding spoilers that you didn't want to know. Oh, look at that. Oh no. Oh no, look at this. Oh, this is a disaster. And here, look at this crustiness. Oh dear. That is pretty horrible. Doesn't look like it's got... Oh, it's got everywhere. So it looks like it's been stored that way up maybe. And the batteries have leaked and just poured down onto this board. Oh, that is unfortunate. That is not good. Oh dear, oh dear. What are we going to do with this? So I wonder if I can get this connector out so we can take this thing apart a bit further. That looks like it just pulls out. This connector here, this ribbon connector. Oh, yes it does. Yeah, so that just pulls out. So there we go, we've got two halves of a Game Boy. We've got some serious trouble here. Absolute serious trouble. That is bad news. I mean, I think this one's going to have the same damage in it, so trying to make two working ones out of this one could be difficult. Right, how are we going to disassemble this a bit further? This is like the screen. Oh, they've gone for normal Phillips screws inside. Okay. Batteries, they just destroy everything. Oh, that screw's not coming out. It's corroded. That's a problem. I think these are all the same size screw. I'll probably have to soak these screws in vinegar as well to get the corrosion off them. Yeah, this screw has gone. It's gone bad. Oh, I've got it. I've got it. Oh, it looks like the board's Oh, the board is delaminating there. That is not good. It looks like this is just a ground plane here, though. So it might be all right. I don't know what that is there. This is some kind of jumper link. I want to be a bit delicate with it here because this bit looks like it does look like the board's completely delaminated. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. Right, so this side, there's a little bit, there's some corrosion in there, and looks like the volume pot is probably gone. But this side doesn't look too bad, and the pads look all right. So that's not too bad. So that's looking good there. But the other side of the board is a disaster. It's just an absolute disaster. Oh, there's all like micro bits of Stuff everywhere. Speaker is looking not too bad. Stuff coming off it here. So this is where we're going to have to scrub some of this stuff off and see what we get. It says LED there or something. Oh, that's from the back. But I don't know how much of this is absolutely gone. Look at this. It's just falling apart. So that's taken the silk screen off, I think. So let's just... it's horrible. Oh, and there's some flux left on it there as well. Maybe that's what was sticking it down. But it doesn't look... That side's looking all right. So that's not a complete disaster. Let's scrub some of this off. Oh, I need something to put this in because it's going to make a horrible mess. All this battery gunk is going everywhere. Let's try and brush some of this. This is just going to fall apart. Oh, it's horrible. Don't think that volume pot will work anymore, but is that the volume pot or brightness or something? What is it? This is pretty disgusting. It's completely taken the top of the solder mask off. Ah, it's horrible. This is what batteries will do to your stuff if you just leave it in there. So I'm just brushing off the loose bits. It doesn't look as bad as I thought, actually. It does seem to have just taken the top layer off the solder mask that's over the top of like a ground plane. But this volume pot does appear to be pretty damaged. Maybe. It still turns. It's very crusty. I can feel the crust in there. Let's try and get this stuff off with some vinegar. So I need to put the vinegar on, and then it's going to smell horrible in here now. And then I'm going to clean it off with some IPA. Oh, small. It's Tesco distilled vinegar. Do not take this as a shot. This is a Jack Daniel's whiskey glass, but oh, it smells. Could have used lemon juice actually. Oh, there we go. Look at it all fizzing away. Ah, it's all fizzing away. That's good. That's what we want. So I'm just painting the vinegar on where it needs to be. I don't want to get it all over the board because there's an LCD on the back here. And this stuff is going to corrode things if you leave it there. So let's just paint it where it needs to be. And then we'll flush it off in a bit. Oh, it smells disgusting. Well, it smells nice. If I had some fries or chips to go with it. Yeah, it pays if you're going to put your Game Gear in, or your Game Boy in storage for 15 years. Maybe think about taking the batteries out. I suppose it's too late for that now, though. It's too late. It's totally fizzing underneath that volume pot. It says 50 volts there. What does it need 50 volts for? It's got a 50 volt cap. Why does the Game Boy need 50 volts? So I thought it had delaminated, but it really, I suppose it has, but it's what it's done is it's delaminated the solder mask. It's not like delaminated the actual board. Look at that, it's still fizzing away. So yeah, I'm putting on vinegar because vinegar's acidic, and it's under the assumption that the battery's alkaline. So it's neutralizing the battery. I can see it's like gotten inside of those, well, it's not really vias. There's like, it's a single-sided board, isn't it? So they must have these jumper links on this side. Scrubbing with vinegar. I didn't think I'd be doing this today. Like I said, I don't want to get this everywhere, just where I need it. And what brand of batteries these were. I don't think it matters. I think they all leak after a certain amount of time anyway. Right, that's looking a lot better. It's exposing all the nice shiny copper now. Well, it's going to smell like a chip shop in here for a while now. So I'm going to spray this thing with IPA now. I'm going to try and flush out all the vinegar that I've put on. Okay, that's looking a lot better. So I'll probably put that to one side, and then we can start on the battery part. Oh, it's a horrible mess of vinegar and alcohol in here now. That doesn't look too bad. So yeah, luckily this is a single-sided board. Why is there a break in that as well? That's weird. There's a link there that's broken. Is that deliberate? Why would you put a link there and put a snap in the middle of it? Or is that not a link? Is that something else? Oh, that's just a retaining clip for the screen. So that's not an actual link, an electrical link, it's mechanical. So this is the back part. This has probably got the power supply in it. Looks like it's got the headphone port. Is that? I'm not sure. Yeah, the headphone port. And this one has been afflicted as well. So this one's going to need cleaning up, because otherwise these batteries are never going to work. So let's try and get this power board out. I think these are the same screws again. Ooh, there's just battery crust everywhere. Looks like we've got a little headphone mount thing here. Let's take that out. Luckily, it looks like all the internal screws so far are all the same. That is helping a lot. I mean, I think I've got, yeah, there's only 2 screws holding that in. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Right, so this side looks reasonably undamaged, actually. What have we got in here? It's got a lot of flux on there. So that crust on there has nothing to do with the battery, I think. That part looks all right. We've got DMG CPU, it says. So that is apparently CPU. It says 4 megahertz. So is that a Z80 CPU? Probably. 4.19430, 4 megahertz. Don't know what these other two are. Nintendo custom things, are they? Is one of them a memory chip? It says, I don't know. LH52A64NPL. There's 2 of these. Are they memory? That's not the whole thing, is it? Is that not just the CPU? Is that just like, it's like the entire Game Boy is in there? Everything. There's a little chip down here. I don't know what that is. So there we go. So what can we get this out? Oh, this whole thing can come out. That's useful. We've got this bit's okay. Maybe these battery sections will pop out. I feel like they should just pop out. Maybe they're stuck with all the crustiness. Yeah, I've got 3 little battery prongs, and there's 2 built into the unit itself. So these are just connectors. I feel like these should just come out. But why wouldn't they? Oh, they've got a prong there. There we go. So I think there's a little prong there that's stopping them from coming out. There we go. But they're quite crusty. There's one. I came out with, that's horrible. Came out with loads of little bits. So these 2, I should just push this prong in here and they'll pop out, I think. Let's see. It's quite hard to show on camera. There's so much crust on it, it might be difficult to get out. Oh, I think that one's out. Come on. It's so crusty. Ah, there's one. And here's another one. It's just this one's really, really crusty. There we go. Ah, horrible. So we need a bit of a cleanup in there. Not much. That's all right. This shield's all right. That's the negative prong of the battery connectors, and that's actually fine. And that positive end's just got a little bit on it, and these just really got hammered. They got absolutely hammered. So let's just put the minimal amount of, oh, let's get my tray. Let's just put the minimal amount of vinegar that we need on this. Not too much. It's obviously etched away the copper there, the battery leakage has. So it's just a little bit of leakage on the board itself. So this might be quite lucky. A lot of the damage is on a single-sided board, and it's on the side where there's no traces. That is wondrous. That is absolutely wondrous. That could have really worked out here. Doesn't mean this thing's going to work even if I do all this, but I think it's going to have a much better chance. And then it's just these things that are left to go, oh, look at that. That's disgusting. It's disgusting goopy milk in there. Let's pour that out. So I just want a bit of vinegar, and I'm going to soak these, and probably these screws as well, I think. So I might just soak these and this. And yeah, I think Most of these screws from the other side I'll soak as well, because they are covered in the crust. So I am going to give these a good soaking in vinegar while I go to the shop, and these can be soaking while I'm away. In the lovely vinegar. There we go, look at them fizz away. Don't know if you can see that. They are fizzing away in there. That's going to smell horrendous in here. So yeah, that's just the screws and the battery contacts. The ones on that are soldered to the actual board are actually all right. So that's looking really good. So there's hope for this yet. I mean, I don't know if I put it together. I don't know once we've cleaned it up if it's going to have other problems, but we need to do this first anyway. Just get rid of the battery corrosion and see what we're up to. Oops, spilt vinegar on that board. I didn't want to do that. So I've taken these battery contacts out of the vinegar and cleaned them up, and they are looking pretty good. You can see that it's like exposing like bare copper underneath. I didn't want to leave them in for too long, but yeah, basically the battery acid's been, or battery alkaline has been cleaned off, but they're a little more worse for wear. They should be okay there. You can see the bare copper on the back. These screws as well, they were a gold colour when they went in. They're more like black now, so it's taken like the top layer of them off, but there's no battery alkaline on it. I cleaned up this board as best I could. There was some gunk on this Alps board, by the way. There's an Alps board in here. I think that's some kind of power board. There's some kind of white residue on that. I think that was the battery alkaline. I've cleaned as much of that off as I could. I have also cleaned a little bit off the back. I've sprayed contact cleaner in there, scratched some of that corrosion off there, and that's the best I could do with this thing. I think there's still a bit of battery alkaline on there, but most of the main crust has gone. I have also cleaned this, and I've taken as much of the glue residue off this Game Boy as I could, and as much off that screen. So that's probably ready to be glued back in at some point. And I also, one of the other things I did was just gave these little carbon contacts a clean on the board and also on here. These did have little bits of battery alkaline on them, so I've just done a tiny wipe with some with a cotton bud with some alcohol on it, and that's cleaned those up. So I'm probably going to put this back together now, and we're going to have a go and see if it powers up, because I really don't know, but I've cleaned up enough of the crud to actually find out, and a lot of this stuff can just go back together now. Like these things I think just pop back in here. There you go, so they pop back in there like that. So they look a little crusty, well not crusty, but they look a little like tarnished, I suppose is the word, but they're definitely looking a lot better. I've also cleaned out the battery alkaline out of these compartments as well, so there's none left in here at all. So yeah, they're just clipping back in. That's what it should have been before, but they were all crusty from the battery leakage. So there we go. So that's those things back in. They're looking okay. So I'll reassemble this and get back to you when it's all back together, and we'll see what we're going to win. Here we go, let's have a look. Oh, there's no cartridge in. Do you need a cartridge in for a Game Boy? I'm not sure. It's on. The light's on. Oh, I heard a noise. I heard a noise. It made a ding. Wonder if the screen is... Is it supposed to do anything, the Game Boy, if there's no cartridge in? Everybody loved Tetris. Has it got a clean... Oops. Clean cartridge, let's have a look. That goes in there. I did put some contact cleaner in the cartridge port. Let's have a look. That doesn't look good, does it? Well, it's running. Is it run? Oh yeah. So the Game Boy itself's working, but we've got no screen. The contrast is doing nothing. So that's not the worst thing in the world. Volume's good. Yeah, so we've got a running processor, but we've got no screen. There we go. It's a shame I can't see it. So before I do anything else on this, I'll probably make a note. And then we'll move on to the other one and we'll see what we get with that. Because, I mean, we might have a broken screen here, or it might be just not plugged in the screen correctly or something. But maybe I should start on the other one. And we'll see what we win with that. We'll see if we can get one of these working at all before we start diagnosing both of them. But that could just be that this contrast pot has gone bad, or there's a broken trace on it. I did do a little bit of electrical testing off camera and I didn't see anything wrong, but it wasn't completely extensive. So yeah, now we know what we've got. We've got a working Game Boy with a bad screen. That is a good start. So there we go. I'll just put works no display on that in case it's weeks before I get back to it. And then we'll start on the next one. This board, which is the LCD board there, seems to be pretty much undamaged from the battery alkaline. It's got a little bit of gunk there on what I think is like a grounding pad, but the rest of it looks all right. Tiny bit has got on the other side, near to where the actual buttons are pressed there, the AB buttons. But other than that, that board's looking all right. So nothing like the damage we saw on the other one. So that's good news. The battery contacts here are just about as crusty as they were on the other one. So I've just taken those out there. Yeah, they're probably worse actually. Look at all the gunk here that came out. So what I'm going to do is I'll stick these in the shot glass, the whiskey shot glass, along with a few of these screws that are the worst for wear. So I'll just stick those in the vinegar again. And you get to watch it fizz away. I can hear it fizzing. Oh, so much fizz. So that's good. So they're fizzing away. Oh, that smells already. And then as for the actual Game Boy itself, this one appears to be a different style. So it's, instead of having the chips on like the other one, this one's got chip on boards under, well, what do they call them? Blobs or something? Is it chip on board? So they obviously decided to make this thing cheaper by not even having the chips, and they just bonded straight to the PCB and just put a big blob over the top. So this one's obviously a cheaper design. So it's probably a newer design then, considering it. But this didn't come out as well as the other one. This one got a bit more battery alkaline, so the headphone port is absolutely covered in it. It was on the other one as well, but this appears to have just been absolutely pasted with it. The battery contacts that are actually built into this unit here, they probably need a bit of a clean as well. Again, they're not too bad, but that definitely needs cleaning. And yeah, that's really crusty. Is that the contrast pot or the volume pot? That's the volume pot. That's really crusty on there. I can feel sticky flux as well. It's got some battery alkaline on the back. And this is the power board down here. And this has been absolutely caked in battery alkaline, so that's not good. So if that power board's not working, then we are not going to get anything. So on the other one, I remember, I don't know if it was on the video, but I was looking here going, why have we got 50 volt caps? And the answer is, I was looking at the schematics, and the LCD needs minus 19 volts. So this thing's producing minus 5 volts and minus 19 volts apparently. So if this thing on the other Game Gear isn't getting minus 19 volts out, then we're not going to get any LCD. So that could be the problem with the other one. But it's quite possible that this thing is toast on this one as well. I'm not sure. So yeah, well the good news is that it's possible, you know, we could take this screen and put it in the other one, and then we've got one Game Gear that's pretty much undamaged, and that might get us a working Game Gear. But it's also possible that the other one has got a bad power supply in it, and it's not producing the voltage to get the LCD working. So can do bit of a clean up on this, and we'll just power this one up and see if it works. DC converter DMG Alps. Yeah, so they went to Alps to make this little power board. Don't know why they couldn't make that one themselves, but they couldn't. It's interesting. Oh, this switch here is a bit crusty as well, so not too bad. I think the volume pot is probably the worst bit. I think the battery alkaline has got into the volume pot on this one, and you can see what it's done to the copper there. There's a bit inside the cartridge port as well. Yeah, I can see it in there. Hopefully it's not got into the actual cartridge port, as that's going to be a problem. I can't see any, but I'll have to have a look down there. Oh, it is. Yeah, so this one, it's got inside the cartridge port, so that's not good. So I'm probably going to have to put, I don't know how I'm going to clean that. I'll try with alcohol first. I don't want to put anything too abrasive in there because it will damage the pins, and it probably could damage the cartridges as well. But I can definitely see green crusty inside the cartridge port. So it's actually maybe fortunate. So we've got two Game Gears. One of them's got a really damaged screen and the other one's got a really damaged board. Maybe we can just, to start with, make one decent one out of the two that's almost completely undamaged. And then we take our chances trying to fix the other one on its own. How are we doing with these fizzing away? Oh, they stopped fizzing already. Wow, that was quick. They are actually looking pretty clean already. Just while I was talking, that's happened. Wow. Let me take those out before the... Oh, yeah. Hang on a second. Yeah, they don't look too bad already. There's the screw. Maybe I left the other ones in too long. It was etching away at the surface, but they look really clean now. They look clean enough. That makes me wonder. I didn't check the cartridge port very well on the other one, so I didn't see any corrosion on that one, so we'll have to see how that goes. So I'm going to paint vinegar onto this thing in a select few places. I'll try the battery contacts first. That one's not too bad actually. And that one's actually fine. That's not bad. I can hear it fizzing away. That volume pot is not doing so well. So yeah, I really only want to put this in the places that I need it, due to its aggressiveness. But I am going to try and clean up this power board because this is not looking good. Yeah, look at that, it's all over it there. I'll be surprised if this works. Let me get my toolkit out of the way before I cover it in battery acid. Ooh, this one's getting brown gunk coming off it. It's probably got a bit of flux on it as well. And this little headphone port didn't fare so well, so it's getting the vinegar treatment. Oh, it's covered in it. Covered in the green gunk. That volume port feels horrible. Oh God. So it's just a case of getting all this vinegar off now. Oh, what a disgusting gunky mess down there. Well, the volume pot's still really scratchy, but it seems better. I'm just going to take this to the sink and spray some electrical contact cleaner on it. It's looking better, that is. I've sprayed that with electrical contact cleaner. There's a lot of crap came off that in the sink, and hopefully that's a lot better. I'll still have to, there's still a bit of battery gunk there. I'll have to check the cartridge port. The cartridge port doesn't look great, it's got to be said, but that's looking a lot better. The headphone port there, I wouldn't say it looks as good as new, but it looks a lot better. There's still a bit of green stuff on it. Not sure how well this board will have fared, but it's an improvement. So, and some of the flux, I think the original factory flux was also coming off with the electrical contact cleaner, so I can feel my fingers sticky, and it's not from the battery alkaline. I think it's from other gunk that's coming off this board. I think that's what this brown stuff is in here. I don't think that's battery gunk. I think I can see flux in there as well. And last of all, this board here doesn't need a lot. It just needs a little bit. Just needs a little bit of a clean up there, I think. There might be some leakage there, it's hard to tell. I'll just put a little bit of vinegar there, not much, on this little ground contact. But that thing's just got to make contact with the ground on the other board, I think. I'm not sure what it's there for, because I think they would get ground through there, but maybe they get another ground, just in case. Just want to lightly go over the top of where these carbon contacts are, just to keep the pad working. I don't know if there's any other bits around there. Yeah, just not going to clean those too much. There is something coming off that. That's just where the buttons make contact. There might be a bit of flux on there as well. I think that board's pretty good. I don't know, have we still got vinegar on there or something? I think we've got flux on here as well now. Looks like there's some residue on this. Well, that's certainly feeling all right. The switch, the volume pot doesn't feel great, but it might be all right, I don't know. And let me just have a quick look inside the cartridge port. Do you know what? I can't show it to you on here, but I put contact cleaner in there and scrubbed it, and it looks like the cartridge port is probably all right now. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think that'll take a cartridge. I would be happy to put a cartridge in that. So it might be time to reassemble this. Maybe I won't totally screw it together yet. I mean, we've got to clean this stuff up. I need to clean these up before I put it back together. So I'll do that. I'll clean this up. I'll clean up these contacts on these carbon bits here. I'll clean all the crap out of here. And then we'll put this back together. I do want to try and measure the voltage on these things, because now I know it's got 5 volts and minus 19 volts. We should be able to check that we're getting good voltage on this before we put it back together. But this is a good sign. I've got what looks like a good LCD board. And, well, maybe this whole thing will just work. But if not, I might transplant this into the other Game Boy if it takes it. And see if we get a working screen out of it. Once I know that we've got good voltages in both this and the other Game Boy. But this is quite good. So we've got different damage. It's not what I'm expecting. Right, well, it's time for some reassembly. Bit of cleaning reassembly, and let's see what we get. So I've just put this back together loosely just because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to open it up again. From the looks of the battery damage on this power supply here, I suspect it doesn't work, but you never know, you look. So I think this one isn't going to power up. That's what I think. But I haven't tried it yet, so we get to try it together. I'm going to put Tetris in. Right, here we go. Are we even going to get a power light? Oh, we did. Oh, what's happening? Oh, that's not good. Oh, look at that. Oh, unbelievable. This is not what I was expected. It made some crackly, horrible noises. It's actually working. This one looks severely damaged. Like the power board does not look good. I cleaned a lot of the battery damage off it, but it looks really crusty. I haven't checked it for any broken traces or whatever. I could see a few bits where they were potted, like with little like peck marks in them, but they were quite thick traces, so I didn't bother testing them until I turned it on. Right, where is the volume control? It made a lot of crackling there at the start, didn't it? Yeah, that's on full volume. I don't know if that's the correct volume for the Game Boy. Keep saying Game Gear, don't I? Right, have we got working? We've got working D-pad. Up doesn't do anything in this game, does it? So I can't really test up, but don't know what select does either. Start to continue the game. Wow, that's unbelievable. The contrast is a bit weird. I don't know if that's correct. Wow, I can't believe that actually all works. Well, I should have just put this one back together. That is unbelievable. So, someone would have to tell me if that's the correct... I need to look at this from the top. Is that how good the Game Boy screen always looked? Right, tell you what, let me reassemble this properly and then we'll have a go at it. It's totally working. That is a complete surprise. This is the one I was expecting, just didn't look like it was going to work. The power supply looks absolute, like it's really been hammered by the battery. But the power supply is apparently working. Who knew? I have not played this. I mean, I have played this on a Game Boy, but not since the Game Boy was a thing, since it had first came out. I never really owned one. A friend of mine had one. And I just remember everybody had Tetris. It was just like, if you had a Game Boy, you had to have Tetris. I don't know if it came with it. What a cool little console this is. Oh, look at this. What is this? I have no idea what I'm doing here. Is this like another Tetris game or something? I have no idea what's happening. It looks like some kind of Tetris game. I can switch things around. I've made an egg. I have no idea what's happening here. Well, there it is. That's the that's a Game Boy repaired, I suppose. I don't think it was working before. It had too much battery damage in it. What I'm going to do is this one that's working but doesn't have the display. I suspect this one does have the power problems. So I'll leave this one for a part 2 because this will need some more diagnosis. But at least I've got a working one to compare it to now. So when I come back to this one, I think the first thing I'll do is test voltages. I'll do that in another video. And we'll see where we get to. But I'm quite happy to get at least one working Game Boy here. This is really good. And I'm going to sit around and play some Tetris probably. Because how cool is that? That is a bit crusty, that port though. I mean, it did have some corrosion in it. That's not easy to get into. It might be damaging the cartridges actually. I don't know. Maybe that needs a bit of a cleaning in there. Yeah, it's certainly much better in this one, I think. Oh no, it's still quite tough. Maybe that's quite normal, but it's definitely working. So I'm pleased to get one going. This one, another video to try and resurrect that one. I don't know. This one did have a lot of damage though, so if it's gotten to the screen, that's bad news. Right, that's it for the Game Boy. Console I'm not as familiar with as everything else I've done, but at least I've got one working. Whoa! Addendum, it looks like I was maybe right about the power supply in this Game Boy because I turned the cameras off and I started playing Tetris and this thing is now, it just turned off. And now is quite unstable, I think. It might power on here. Yeah, look, it's powering on. But it wasn't very stable. I think it's just gone off there. Yeah. So it played Tetris for a while and now it doesn't work. So it looks like we've got other problems in here. So it could be the power supply after all, or maybe it's got some capacitor problems. I noticed it was making a slight buzzing from the speaker as well, but there was so much corrosion in there. I don't know. But yeah, it's like not stable enough to just keep staying on. I think it's resetting the processor. If I really lower the volume and no, it just gets to there and resets now. So yeah, it looks like we've got problems on this one as well. So yeah, for a second part, I'm gonna have a look at fixing this one and getting this one to go. But I'm still suspecting power boards, so I'll do that in the next part. But I enjoyed it while it lasted. I did have a game of Tetris, so I got one game out of it.